And that train of
No,
that train of
there's a
thought didn't take you anywhere because
meeting code.
when you get off it, you're at the station all the time. That has to have some effect over time, don't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah. So every time you thought you were taken by a train of thought, when you jump off the train, you always are back at the station. You never left. That's what finally you get to a conclusion. How could I get back here so fast? Obviously, it's based on you never left. Yeah, you thought you left, or it thought you left. Yeah, it says you've left many, many, many times and you're just a leaver or whatever. It's done all this shit. But when something disappears in no time at all, it really questions its appearance. Yeah, finally. So when you come off that train of thought, you're right at the station. You're not left in the woods and then you have to walk back. You're awake, aren't you? You just now you're awake that you were seemingly on a train of thought. How long did it take? It's not usually a process. It's like that. Yeah. You come to and there you are at the station. How many times are you going to fall for the false train ride that it says you've been on? When every time you get off, it did take absolutely no time to get off. None. You're just there like that because you're here like this. Yeah. Yeah. These are examples that bring about a recognition if you just let it pile up. Yeah. It's like one of those straws is going to break the camel's back. And there's going to be a flip. You're going to move your basic uh, drive of interest and attention is going to move. Yeah. Like when you're grinding coffee, there's a different, you can make it a finer grind, right? You don't do anything with the coffee. It's in the machine. You just turn this little thing and now it grinds in a different way. Well, this is what happens in a way. Yeah. Yeah. So, and then the heavy lifting is there's there's very little heavy lifting. Yeah. You don't have to look at each package to see that there's nothing in. You know there's nothing in it, really. Yeah, really. It's like a lot of wind blowing through a perforated bag, so to speak. Yeah. I mean, it goes over and over and over again. Aren't we in a loop of resentment is the re-feel, mental anxieties triggering a sense of fear? Yes, over and over again. You redo a lot of shit. It's just a re. Yeah. Yeah. And then you wonder why you don't feel like you're alive. And then you want to do something or take something to feel like you're jacked up or jazzed up because you seemingly feel like you're dead. Because all intents and purposes, if you're seeing only the past, you're dead to the present. Yeah, seemingly. Yeah. Yeah. Where does mental anxiety, the anxiety
Hey, Paul, I think we lost you.
is predestined. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can now. We
Oh,
lost you for a second there.
let's hopefully for my let's extend that second for a long time.
Well, you keep going in and out, so
Oh
it's,
yeah.
yeah,
Well, let me know. Or maybe it's because of I think we're doing YouTube at the same time.
we are streaming live on YouTube. We
Oh,
are.
all right. Well, let's you want to start the thing?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you, everybody. I'll turn this over to I think Lorraine is.
Yeah,
Hi, Elaine.
uh,
Got you.
here, Liane is doing it. Okay,
So welcome everyone to the reflections on the 12 steps. Just a friendly announcement. This is not an AA meeting. It's one member's view on the exact nature of the wrong as described on page 64 of the big book and the solutions contained within. This is not an all-share meeting, so shares there will be, but actually a question and answer meeting with Paul. We left off on page 59, how it works. And I can start more or less at the top.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. I got to get the book.
Okay. Shall I start already, yeah?
I have one. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Half measures availed us nothing. We stood at the turning point. We asked his protection and care with complete abandon. Here are the steps we took, which are suggested as a program of recovery. First step, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. Second step, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Third step, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him.
I'm losing her now.
I think he is... Okay, shall I continue, Paul? Do you hear us?
Well, I lost you there, but I'm going to move inside.
Okay, we can wait.
I think the Wi-Fi isn't steady here. Is it coming in and out? You just did for a while. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, Jeff, I'm going to go in. Is it better now? Can you hear?
Yes. Yeah, it's
All right.
stable for
I
now.
didn't hear you. Good. Okay.
Okay, shall I start again with the first step or just continue?
Yeah, go start again. First step.
Okay. So here are the steps we took, which are suggested as a program of recovery. First step, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. Second step, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Third step, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. Fourth step, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Fifth step, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Sixth step, we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. Seventh step, humbly ask him to remove our shortcomings. Eighth step, made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. Ninth step, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. Tenth step, continue to take personal inventory and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. 11th step, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood him, praying only for knowledge of his will for us and the power to carry that out. 12th step, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we try to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. Many of us exclaimed, "What an order! I can't go through with it." Do not be discouraged. No one among us has been able to maintain anything like perfect adherence to these principles. We are not saints. The point is that we are willing to grow along spiritual lines. The principles we have set down are guides to progress. We claim spiritual progress rather than spiritual perfection. Shall I stop here or
No,
continue?
just end at the 3 pertinent points.
Our description of the alcoholic, the chapter to the agnostic, and our personal adventures before and after make clear 3 pertinent ideas. That we were alcoholic and could not manage our own lives. That probably no human power could have relieved our alcoholism. That God could and would if he were sought.
All right, yeah, so let's stop there if you don't mind. I think we went over this, but it's if everyone likes this, we'll just keep doing it. But we went over the steps, but the 3 pertinent ideas, that we were alcoholic and could not manage our own lives, that had a much better sound to me than the first step, the way it says, yeah, because it doesn't talk about alcohol. It says that we were alcoholic and could not manage our own lives. So what's causing one of the effects of an unmanageable life is the drinking and the using, but what's causing the unmanageability is what's that which is trying to manage, which is this idea of self. Yeah? If you ever got introduced to the Joe and Charlie stuff, and you can still get it from the internet. At one point, they would have these printouts about the 4th step inventory, and one time they had it with self on top. So self was the managing condition and was directing and guiding our attempts to get our needs met. Yes. And then some wants. And it had a very big mix up with what's a want and a need. Yeah. And all this and all that. So you could see that your instinctual agenda given over to the care of self had led to an incredible unmanageability. Yeah. Of course, the identification as the self has us getting guilty and shameful for the unmanageability. But we're that which gets managed. Yeah. We're not that which is unmanageable. We get managed. If there's a good manager, we can manage quite well. If there isn't a good manager, it's unmanageable. Yeah. We're not the cause of the unmanageability. It's what's directing us is the cause of the unmanageability. Recovery, the people in recovery recognized that, and they had another offer. Perhaps there's a better way. Instead of trusting finite self to manage your life, we're going to trust the infinite to manage our lives. Yes? So we're not going to be managing, we're going to be managed. Yeah? And you can tell the tree by its fruits, and that's what the first step is. Yeah. And the second step is recognizing another tree. You now have been sober for 8 weeks, which was impossible 9 weeks before that. Yeah. So this shift, it happens to you. You're not the doer of it. Yeah. Remember, you're the one who's getting operated on. You're not the operator. Yeah. Yeah. And we've been operated. We have a lot of miles being driven by one of the drivers. We should know basically where that leads us and what your car looks like after being driven by that driver of self. It's looking pretty shabby, pretty screwed up and stuff. And then hopefully you've had either a small sample, because a principle is the same in a small sample or a large sample. Yeah. Something that works in a small sample probably will work in a large sample. So you can recognize how you feel and how you look when you're driven by the infinite. Yeah. It's just, I mean, the contrast is huge. And basically, when he says here, many of us exclaimed, "What in order? I can't go through with it." I think that's the disease talking as us. Yeah. Yeah. So we are singers, and then we are in the mental choir of self. And so when there's a solution offered to us, it's like, what an order. I can't go through with it. But you could fucking stand in front of 7-Eleven at 5:58 on a freezing morning with your 58 cents, hoping to convince the guy to give you 7 cents to get that vodka. You weren't going, oh, what an order. Yeah, you were in spiritless servility. Yes? You were in spiritless servility. None of us said, what an order, I can't go through with it. We would get on our legs and hands to look for another penny in on the curb to get that vodka. Now, oh, what do you have to do? What an order, man. I can't go through with this. Yeah. Do not be discouraged. Yeah, do not be discouraged. What's talking to you ain't you. Yeah, you can hear another melody. You can pick it up quite easily. So I humbly feel recognizing self as a foreign agent in one's life is incredibly beneficial because it immediately relieves the bondage of your interest and attention to that obsession as self. Yeah, it just does. Seeing it as not you does something that is not going to happen by self trying to get out of self. Yeah, that would be more interest in self. It's going to trigger the loss of interest in self. Yeah, and our whole program, if you read page 63, a lot of stuff starts, but the requirement is a loss of interest in self. Yes. And we have learned the hard way that self cannot lose interest in self. That would be interest in self. Yeah. So you recognize the failures of its imaginary escapes and you tell the truth. And instead of self-knowledge avail you nothing, you have knowledge about self, which will avail you quite a lot. Yeah. Because you will see a distinction between what has defeated you and what was defeated. And that distinction is going to grow. And you're going to probably start picking up that the disease of alcoholism, this idea of self, is talking to you. Yeah. It's taken over your radio station and it's broadcasting under the title of K Paul, but it's really K Self. And it's describing what it thinks about shit. And then you're just mimicking, oh, I think about shit that way. Yeah, there's a gap. You can see it. We had it one day at this meeting. A person, there was something we presented, and then there was a little German Shepherd thing. And the head cried to regroup and said, I'm afraid. I said, see, that wasn't you. Yeah. You felt like you were already signed up to be afraid, but it wasn't you. You were in a place of neutrality. You weren't afraid or not afraid. You were just here. And then the head told you what you were like. And then you heard it and then you mimicked it. Yes, I saw it. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful demonstration. In like 8 seconds, it described the whole activity of the bondage of self. It describes how it sees life, and you take that description to be yours. Yes or no? Check it out. Barely. There's so much of the iceberg under the water. Maybe you start recognizing some are alcoholic thoughts, but so much is alcoholism. Yeah. And we go to meetings and you listen to people and they share what they think are their private, unique thoughts, and they sound just like your private and unique thoughts. How could they be private and unique if they're shared universally? Yeah. Something is giving us the thoughts we think we're having to further our bondage to its narrative. I mean, it's insane. I don't know how it's getting away with it all this time. It really is. Millions of inventories have been done. You walked in there with your resentments and you left with your resentments. Millions of inventories have occurred in our community. A mistake was there. We were calling self manifestations ours, and we came in with it and we left with it. Yeah. Wow. This whole movement, we hope that can change that. So you will go in it with your resentments, and you'll see they're not your character defects. They're defects in your character, but they're not your character defects. Something has access through your character to life, and it's manifesting its conditions through you, and we're under a delusion they're ours. This is the bondage of self. I don't know how better you could describe it. Yeah. It's sort of like I could be under the bondage of Stanley, and that would be whatever Stanley felt, I thought I felt. That would be, I'm bound to Stanley. Yeah. So if I'm going to do okay, Stanley has to do okay. And self doesn't fucking do okay. What it says and promises, it has no interest in, because if it runs into peace, is its natural agitation is revealed, and you'll realize it's never going to enjoy peace of mind. You are by its absence. It is never going to enjoy peace of mind. If it has peace of mind, it gets worried, will it have peace of mind later? And there it goes. There's no peace of mind. It's agitated. What it meets, it agitates. Yeah. If it meets peace, agitates it. Serenity agitates it. It does. Yeah. It's agitated. The system is moved two big ways: aversion, attraction. Some things are attracted, some things are wanted to be averted. Yes. Desire, move towards; hate, move away. Yeah. Constantly rowing one way, rowing the other way, and you don't go fucking anywhere. Just one and back. It's just insane. Yeah. If you can see it as not you, oh man, there's going to be a loss of interest in it, because most of the interest in this bullshit is because it's you, really. Would you spend that much time thinking about Stanley if you're not Stanley? No freaking way. You would not spend, I mean, the amount of obsession is like, the only example I could see in this world is a teenager standing in front of a mirror. I mean, that obsession level is mind-boggling. If you have any trouble with your bowel movements, you're going to be in a lot of trouble with teenagers, because the bathroom is occupied from morning to night. Blow dryers that must stay like Hurricane 5s. They're going on for like an hour. How much hair do you have to hair dry? And the poor mirrors, they're sagging. They're so tired of reflecting. Jesus Christ, they're just bummed out. So that's just the typical, wow. You know how much obsession with self is in the selfing? Wow. It's incredible. We're so deep in it, it would just like the effects of gravity, you would really know about them by their absence. So if you went into an anti-gravity chamber, our minds would be completely blown if we went into an anti-self chamber and we just had a minute or two of the absence of it. You would not, the amount of heaviness that you've been walking around with, and it would just blow your mind completely. Yeah. So yeah, we get those moments. Remember when you do service, you're up your ass of self, and then you do service. And what did you feel? This is how it happened. I felt available because I wasn't up the ass of self. Yeah. So I felt available, and then I felt something because I was available, which was a presence. Yeah. And then I would give that presence the name of the higher power. And all the time when I popped out of the Ask for Self through service, that's how I was greeted. There was a sense of availability and a sense of presence. Yeah. Which informed me that I wasn't available and I was out to lunch. Yes? Because when you learn about this currency, there's two sides of the coin. So when you have a freedom from the bondage of self, you have a lot of knowledge about the weight of the bondage of self. Yeah, they go sort of hand in hand. It's not just one aspect of a download, it's two aspects, yeah? So when you have a freedom from the bondage of self, it tells you how much heaviness is the bondage of self, yeah? Yeah. And then self can't get out of self. That's one of the most important statements in our world. Yeah, because most of us are trying to do the exact same thing. We don't understand that Kurt Z is basically self at this moment, and Kurt Z, aka self, wants to get out of self, and you're never going to convince it otherwise. It's just, it doesn't matter how many times it fails, it's just going to keep on, keeping on. Yeah. And it's a beautiful principle that self. There it is, coming out of self right there. Tiger McNally or something. I have to hand, that was a pretty good, that was a segue, pretty good, because there was the ass, something else maybe, of self. The alarms were going off. All the thoughts and ideas. This is too much of an order. This is too much. I can never do what? Go to a meeting? I can. It's like that. Yeah. Self can't get out of self, but you and I can be out of self. It happens every time we do service, mostly. Yes? When you're in that engagement with others and you lose yourself, you're out of self. Yes? When you get enough evidence that you're out of self, you may realize you've never been in self. Yeah, it may lead you to that. And if this could be a little help in pushing it that way, this is a nice purpose for this Zoom. So that instead of having to constantly get out of self now, you can maybe see you're not in it. Yes? And that is a relief or a liberation with no effort. See, there's no effort to get out of self when you realize you're not in it. Yes? It looks quite differently. So I would hope that, and then I feel that gets established, and really that's the end of looking to a point. Yeah. You have gotten to the levels of being convinced, and there's really the fundamental dilemma has been corrected. Yeah. Yeah. And you may not be acquiring that much knowledge after that. You're just, yeah. And what knowledge you do, you bring the 6 and 7 and ask that power to reconfigure it and send it on its way through your life. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, the 12 steps, we've done that. And we go through the 3 most pertinent ideas: that we were alcoholic and could not manage our own lives. That probably no human power could have relieved our alcoholism. Now, that's an incredible statement, because obviously you would be under the category of human power. Yeah. And this says these ideas before and after recovery. Yeah. So after recovery, it doesn't turn into a self-help program. It's a reliance on a higher power program, because no human power before or after. Yeah. So that no human power, is as relevant before as it is after. Yes? So you don't go to managing school in AA. I don't feel. Yeah. And basically, you admit you're outmatched, and then things work in certain ways. When you're in the dilemma of powerlessness and you keep trying to exert something you don't have, you're going to experience powerlessness, which means you're going to get frustrated a lot, get pissed off at people because they not doing what you want and all, like, they explain it. Yes. And at that point, you may be virtuous and kind and everything, and it's still self-will. Yeah. Yeah. So then after this, it says, being convinced we were at step 3, which is that we decided to turn our will and life over to God as we understood him. Now, we decided, we don't turn it over, do we then? Because I don't believe it's not under our command. What we call our life is being run by something else. So under that bondage, we're going to make a decision that we would like to be freed from that bondage. Yeah. And therefore, we set off on a course of action, step 4 through 9, to trigger that freedom from that bondage of self. Yeah. We stop talking to it, trying to get the best terms of our bondage. We fucking surrender, admit the defeat, yes, and now we're bringing in something bigger. Yeah, by doing what? By doing the steps 4 through 9. And then what gives life to the decision is the effects of doing 4 through 9. Yeah, that gives the oomph of the decision. And then you'll start seeing that you make a commitment and you show up at the meeting. Yeah. And you start doing what you say, which is amazing. Yeah, it's incredible recognition where you actually, if you said you were going to do something, you actually show up and do it. And then it just goes on and on. I mean, we talk about it with the waves. Yeah. It may take a couple of paddles to get into the wave, but once you feel the wave's power, you stop paddling. Yeah. Because your job is over. You just put yourself in the position for the wave to get you, really. And if you're good, you know where to go, and then it takes only a few paddles. Yeah. And as soon as you'll feel it like a presence. You'll feel an oomph. At that point, paddling is a disservice. Yeah. And you just ride the wave. And isn't that the case? Yeah, we took the steps took us. Yes. And you have to admit, doing steps just seems incredibly strange now if you've done them. Yeah. Doesn't it? It feels like, was there really a doing of them, or it was almost as if you invited an effect to occur. Yeah. You invited something to affect you through the steps, but the steps, yes. So very quickly you stop doing the steps and they're doing you. And then they are a part of you. Yeah. Yeah. So this wave can last a long time, literally. Yeah. And when it says go to any lengths, if you ever surfed a wave that there was a beach in Australia that you could get like a 4-minute wave. So it would break and then it would build back up and break, and you would be far away from where you took off. It would be a long walk back. And you'd just be catching it, but it was one wave. Yeah. It would almost seem like it went and it pop up again. And all you had to do is do maybe 1 or 2 paddles and you'd keep going for like 5 or 6 straight minutes. Yeah. How about 37 years? And what's the wisdom to know? The wisdom is to know when to stop paddling. Yeah. You're in the wave. Just ride the wave. I mean, it may look like because there's an inertia from the self that you need some propulsion, yes, to break out of that inertia. But then you enter a jet stream, don't you? Sobriety progresses into sort of a jet stream. And then what you thought were your maintenance things are habits anyway. So you're in the habit of being sober, and the ship is pretty well balanced and it just keeps on keeping on. Yeah. And now you're at the phase of, being willing to help others to achieve sobriety, and you practice these principles in all your affairs. And a lot of times when you couldn't do that, you limited the affairs, and now you can. And a lot of the affairs that you had a limit, you lose interest in anyway. Yeah, it's true. So now you're living step 12. Do you want to become an advanced? You'll be taken as far as it wants to take you. Yeah. And you'll be used the way it wants to use you. Look at how much it's given many of us. We came in, a lot of us, with absolutely nothing. And our whole life has been built by the intervention of recovery. It's all been built on that. Isn't that amazing? That the origin of your wife, being your wife, the kids, they all are rooted in recovery. It's mind-boggling. Yeah. You got a job through recovery. You play softball through recovery. You met a woman in recovery, had babies in recovery. Yeah, it's mind-boggling. Yeah. Yeah. So you want to just open it up or want to keep reading, whatever?
Well, as you like. I mean, if anyone has a question, or I continue.
Well, then I'm going to go to the first requirement, page 60. So this is an incredible how and why of it. It says being convinced. So convinced, one definition is to believe with certainty. Yeah. To believe with certainty. So being convinced, we were at step 3, which is that we decided to turn our will and life over to God as we understood him. Just what do we mean by that? And just what do we do? Wow, that's a pretty good. The first requirement is that we be convinced that any life run on self-will can hardly be a success. I see self as foreign. Yes? So I would see that any life run on foreign will can hardly be a success. Yes? Something that is very similar to all of us, while all of us are not similar to each other, but that which has taken us over is a finite activity. Yeah? Doesn't have an infinite amount of expressions. It does to you what it did to me. Pretty much, yeah. The beating is quite similar. The bandages are in the same places. Yeah, yeah. You've been hit by the same fucking hammer. It's not like, yeah. You can tell. You can tell by the marks on your life. So the first requirement is any life run on this will, this foreign activities will, is hardly going to be successful. What an incredible statement. Yeah. Doesn't say your will. It says self's will. Yeah. So if the will is yours, it's been had by self. So now your will is self's will. Yeah. And they're seeming synonymous. It's nice if you can see a huge difference between the two. Yeah. Because your will is not self's will. Yeah. The will is there, but it's going to be directed. And most of us, it's being directed by self. Yeah. And we've ended up where most of us end up when our life is directed by self. Yeah. Let's tell the truth about it. Please get on with freedom from the bondage. Why would you want to drag the bondage any farther than the first step, fourth step? Yes? The fourth step should be the mark where you recognize what has defeated you, and it's not you. And then we move on from there, hopefully. Yeah. I humbly believe at the fourth step is where you can put a lot of it down. Yeah. You made the decision. You've now looked at what has defeated you. You see that it's foreign to you. You now can look at the past without regret and get knowledge out of it. And you don't want to shut the door on it because your past is going to be valuable in talking to others. Yeah. But for the bondage to carry through 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, that infection, yes? Yeah. I think we got to catch it at the fourth step, at least, because that's where we're going to look at our role in things and hopefully see its role in things. And at that point, I believe our role should be completely different than its role. Yes? Its role should be stumped, and our role should be directed by the higher power. Yeah? And now, instead of it investigating everything, it gets investigated. So we investigate self, and we see that it's foreign to us. Yeah? And then there's a huge loss of interest in it, which starts at page 63. And then all this remarkable shit starts to happen. Yeah? There you go. People don't like to do a fourth step. So, no one wants to do a big fourth step, do you? After 30 years, you don't even have much material. Yeah. But if it seems to get out of that net, it swims around the rest of the steps. Yes. The fourth step, we can actually pin it down and take a look and see the character effects in our character weren't put there by us. They were put there by self. Yeah. And we're attempting to have those character defects removed with the hopes by their removal, we'll see more clearly what has defeated us. Yeah. Yeah. And if it isn't you, that adoration and abject faith in it will be broken. And you'll be able to tell the truth that it's just not managerial quality. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. All right. Anyone? No? I think that's a profound statement. Then he goes, next we decided that hereafter in this draw. Oh no, this is this is the other page that's super powerful. All right, so on that basis, so on what basis? The basis of self-will, yes? So it's going to describe something. The first requirement is that we be convinced that any life run on self-will can hardly be a success. I hope step 4 does that, Step 1, step 4. On that basis, on what basis? On the basis of your life being run by self-will. On that basis, we are almost always in collision with something or somebody. Even though our motives are good, they're actually being overrun. Yeah. Most people try to live by self-propulsion. Each person is like an actor. Kurt likes to point this out. So each person is like an actor. The actor is not the person, though. Yeah. The person is like an actor when taken over by self-will. Yes? So here's the person called Paul is like an actor called Paul taken over by self-will. What happens? Each person is like an actor who wants to run the whole show, is forever trying to arrange the lights, the ballet, the scenery, and the rest of the players in his own way. Yeah. The actor is not us. They make it very clear. Yeah. Each person is like an actor, but they're a person. But they're like an actor. But they're not an actor, they're a person. Yes? Difference, big difference. So each person, when taken over in this basis of self-will, it just says it, if this, on this basis of being driven by self-will, the person is now used as like an actor. Yeah? Being directed by the director of the movie self. And it goes, even though our motives are good, most people try to live by self-propulsion. Each person is like an actor who wants to run the whole show, is forever trying to arrange the lights, the ballet, the scenery, and the rest of the players in his own way. If his arrangements would only stay put, but they don't. If only people would do as he wished, but they won't. So his imaginations are not the fact. It's sort of like I could have been a pro surfer if I hadn't been run over by a car, but I had. The head is sort of like it doesn't see the run over by a car. Oh, I could have been a professional surfer if I hadn't been run over by a car, but I did. Life would be wonderful in trying to make these arrangements. Our actor may sometimes be quite virtuous. This blows people's mind right here. He may be kind, considerate, patient, generous, even modest and self-sacrificing. The actor can mimic these things in a transactional way. Yes? Yes. On the other hand, yeah, when he doesn't get his way after a bit of time, he may be mean, egotistical, selfish, and dishonest. But as with most humans, he is more likely to have varied traits. But alcoholism doesn't have varied traits. Yeah? We have varied traits. Alcoholism doesn't have varied traits. Most alcoholics display the same traits. Yeah. There's very little wiggle room for artistic and, expression. I mean, you can be fucked a certain amount of ways, but basically, yeah. So what usually happens, the show doesn't come off very well. Why? Why do we have so much fear today? Isn't it because self-reliance has failed us? So self-reliance or self-will, a life run on self-will, is a failed system, basically. Yeah. So, and its failedness is now given to you. So you believe you can't do it. You believe you fucked up. But in fact, it can't do it. Yeah. And we're carrying its failure as our failure, which is insane to a point where some people believe they hate themselves. They believe they hate themselves, or they're their own worst enemy. Now, there can be a worst enemy in you, but it's not you. That is for sure. Yes? That is for sure. And this distinction needs to be made with a big dark highlighter. It's got to be emphasized over and over again because the head just drives over it like a speed bump. Yeah, and just keeps on keeping on. Yeah. One of the easiest examples is if it was you, why would it spend so much time trying to convince someone or something to do shit? Yeah. I mean, the head goes into an elaborate presentation at times to try to get you to do something it wants to do. You would think it would just do it if it wants to do it. But it can't do it without our consent, literally. Yes? So the parasite, to get its way, has to convince the host that it's its way. Yeah. So it convinces the host that its way, the parasite's way, is the host's way. And it doesn't work out well for the host, does it? But it works out quite well for the parasite. Yeah. It's bleeding us dry, literally. Spiritless servility is an apt description of having faith in the self. Yeah. It brings about a spiritless servility. We're enslaved. Yeah. There's no locks. We play the role of the lock. There's no prison. We play the role of the prisoner. Yeah. The possibility of freedom is not for self, it's from self. Yeah. See the difference, and there'll be a big difference. Yeah, yeah. So, all right, anyone else, or I'll just keep on riffing. I love this stuff. I do. I just love it. I've never lost interest in it. 30 years now. So, because I see so many examples of the opposite when I'm walking around. I see people burdened by the imaginary weight of the past and the future. It's unbelievable. Yeah. And a lot of times what they're talking to me about isn't actually what's happening. Yeah. They're talking to me about a fear of that what they believe is going to happen, or a remorse about what they believe did happen. Yeah. But have you ever met a person that you thought you ruined their life to make an amend, and they don't even remember the incident that you've been obsessed over for 30 years? They don't even remember you, probably. You're thinking, I remember I ruined Robert's life and this and that. You meet Robert, he goes, who the fuck are you? Yeah, I don't remember anything. This is insane. Shit makes mountains out of molehills all the time. Yeah. If you put on all that mountain gear, it's going to make it harder to climb over a molehill. You're going to be heavier. So, all right. Well, I'm so happy to be here. Every movement of my body, everything has been given through recovery. The lack of tension isn't by my yogic postures, it's about recovery. The unwinding of those knots is recovery. The sense of being taken care of without having to look at all the ways I am and make sure they're still happening. Yeah, recovery. Yeah, and ease and comfort to sit here every day, and I would do it every day. I would do it every other hour. Yeah. Just to entertain these possibilities is like mother's milk. It's great. Yeah. So you have entertain the idea that some of the things you're hearing in your head aren't being said by you. You're being directed. Yeah, you are. And most of the direction is through the head. Yeah, obviously. Does the elbow really tell you how it feels? No. Have you ever really, could you imagine, have you really ever deciphered correctly a feeling? Very rarely. Can you tell me when the feeling started and when the feeling stopped? Most people can't even tell the difference between anxiety and excitement. They feel the same in a similar way, you know? Wow. Yeah. Well, all right. Anyone? Michael? No? Well, this has been thank you for today. I appreciate it a lot.
There are no hands up, Paul. So,
That's great. That's
okay.
great. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're all in certainty.
Yes.
Fantastic. Yes. And don't bookend it with, oh, I'm still crazy. No, don't leave that alone. Just like, yes. Yeah. All right, Michael, as always, thank you. You want to call me later, Michael, about the tractor? Do it. Yeah. Yeah. Rick Rowe, Mr. Rico Cruz. In your case, you're upset for the reason you think. It's the tractor, Michael. Sometimes it's as simple as that, really. Eileen, Arizona, nice to see you. Kurt C., my main man down in Redondo. You all right, Kurt? Feeling good? Oh, great. Yes? Linda, everyone? Good. Betty in Nevada. Nice to see you, Betty. Saraswati, there she is. Yeah. In all her glory. John K. John S. in Florida. Miak. From this view, it looks like the mirror's a little bit. You gotta do a little moving it. Yeah. Mickey. Yeah, a little that way. Yes. Mickey, nice to see you, honey. Miss Volkman, great job. Great job, Miss Volkman. Vlad, my friend. All's well. Joseph C., our man in Paris, or not Paris, in France somewhere. Hey, listen, thank you. We'll see each other, I hope, soon. Tomorrow, next week, there's going to be a change in Wednesday and Thursday, I think. We won't have a meeting on Thursday. Well, just look up on the website, because I think I have to go back to East on Wednesday, and we'll be back home on Friday. So we'll miss Wednesday night and Thursday, I think. All right, but just check it out. It'll be on the website for sure. Thank you.
Hey,
Oh,
hey, Paul. Hey,
Art.
Paul. Hey,
Yeah.
Paul. Real quick. Our friend Art, he came in and he put in the chat. I don't know if you saw that, but thanks to you, he's helped celebrate. Let me see, what was it again? 29 years.
Wow,
Yeah,
19.
19 years. There we go.
19 years. Congratulations, Art.
Thanks, Paul. And I had a quick share if everybody has time. I remember you mentioning that we're not good at deciphering our feelings, and I can't sort one from the other, and I conflate them and so forth. And an example of that, I was a couple of years sober, and I was down in Tucson, and I was driving down the street, and I had this feeling that hit me, and I didn't know what it was. So I called you up, and he goes, "Oh, you're sad, bro." I didn't know how to experience sadness, and I really appreciate you. You did a lot of things for me in that phase of my sobriety, and I'm grateful for that. But it was right on point with what you're saying. I don't know what my feelings are or what they mean or how to unpack them. So thanks, and it's good to see you.
Oh, thank you, Art. Yes, I remember once I was walking home, and I started thinking I was having this incredible spiritual transcendence. I was going into an altered state, and all I needed was a bologna sandwich. My blood had gone down, and I was thinking I was having this just extravagant spiritual experience. I just needed a bologna sandwich.
Excellent.
Yeah, we're out to lunch. We're like blind men, refusing to be guided. That pride is killing us. Yeah. All right. Thank you. You see, it's bad enough we're blind, but when the tour guide is blind, that's even worse. So living a life run on self-will is like having a blind tour guide. Its descriptions. You're at Yosemite. It's describing what it looks like in New York City. You just don't know where the hell it is. All right. Thank you. See you guys. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Michael.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Leon.
Michael. Ms.
Thank
Volkman?
you.